Hello and welcome to this episode of The Inner Estate with your host, Bridget Stuart. I am delighted to introduce you to our guest today, Mel Carr. Mel, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Well, I am too, because you are the founder and really the growth ambassador, I'm going to call you, of an amazing community, Six Figure Chicks. And we're really going to dive into that today. You're also an international best-selling author and the owner and founder of Cloversy, which is an executive virtual assistant agency, as well as a publishing partner. So I'm going to pass the baton back to you. Share with us where your passion lies and where Six Figure Chicks came from.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so my passion started with the Cloversy virtual assistant agency because many years ago I was done with corporate world and I'm like, what else am I going to do now? I want to work for me. I want to make money for myself and keep it. And so I thought, why not use my expertise to help small business owners so that, they don't have to necessarily hire full-time people to assist in their business growth. I took my experience from running other companies to running individual entrepreneurs. And from there, as my company grew, I needed to hire on so I could delegate my work and our clients' work. And I started bringing on fantastic females here in the US. A lot of people think of virtual assistants, they automatically think of overseas. Yeah. And I was like, there are so many people here in the US that have the expertise, have the knowledge, and want that extra side work or part-time work, especially women if, they're at home with children or they have full-time jobs and they want a little
Right,
extra income. So
right.
yes, it started with Cloversy and I was like, okay, let's see what else we can do. And then I thought back to my time in corporate where women, successful women, we didn't come together. We didn't like high five each other on the next new client or the next pay raise. We didn't talk about money for sure.
Right.
And I thought, how else can we elevate our success and our journeys by being in a book? Like I love saying this, there's 78% of women want to write a book, but only
Okay.
3% actually do.
Wow.
I'm like, that's crazy because we're all held back by the what ifs. What if, it takes too much time, too much money. I don't know where to go or who to talk to get started. So we just sit on it forever and it never happens.
Right.
And the book collaboration is like the easiest way to become a best-selling published author with other people so that you're not doing it alone. You don't have to be scared.
Right. And it is funny. So you said 78% desire to write and only 3% do.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And you brought up the what ifs. Just stay in here for just a minute, if you don't mind. There's a couple of other things that happen. We get caught up in the day to day. We get caught up in the next, meal to cook, kid to run,
Mm.
work to do, call to return. So our lives get very busy and full. Where's the time, right? By the time you finally have some time this weekend, then you're just exhausted, right? And then the other thing that, and we can talk more about this later if you desire, but there's also circumstance where out of that 78%, they may want to write a book. They may even share that dream with some inner circle and loved ones. And people thinking they're being protective can actually talk them out of it. Oh,
Mm.
Mel, what if you put all that effort into it and nothing happens? I don't want you to be disappointed. I don't want you to face rejection. Yeah, so sometimes, there's so many factors. It is still surprising that it's only 3% to go from 78% that want it. Even thinking about all those factors to have only 3% actually do it, that is a dramatic uh, differential for sure.
Yeah. Because then also, like, besides those other factors that we get from the what if other people are going to think about it or other people are going to tell us their opinion on
Right.
that of our own inner demons and roadblocks of like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
somebody hears my story, they're going to judge me or they're going to think
Yes.
differently of me or I'm not going to be as, set up as the expert that I am because people are going to start questioning me.
Right.
It's total opposite. People are going to be more connected to you. people are going to want to know more about you because you're more relatable with your
Yes,
authentic self.
yes. And when you show that vulnerable side, it is does draw people closer to you
Yeah.
than push them away. And
Yeah, must have.
frankly, I have a theory, Mel, that
Yeah,
the
love it.
people that would take your story and judge you, A, probably aren't gonna read your story, or if they do, it's because they already feel a certain way about you,
Yeah.
and they're looking for evidence to support it, right? So you weren't gonna please everyone all the time anyway.
Yeah, and it's like your story isn't your shame, it's your superpower.
Right.
It's what sets you apart from the masses out there of
Mhm.
going, if there are 20 coaches in one room, like you being real and authentic and sharing some of your messy middle stories to
Yes.
really elevate you as a person who cares, who's been there, done that,
Yeah.
somebody that you can relate to. Oh my gosh, I did that, or I had that roadblock. That's what's going to make you stand apart from the other 20 authors or coaches.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna make you you.
Yeah, people
Yeah,
want
so
People, I always say, people buy not because of your products or service. They buy because of you.
right,
They want to work with you. We all want to work with people we know, like, and trust. And the power of writing just elevates you on so many levels. And it's such a healing practice to be able to
right.
write your story.
Right, and then share it.
Yeah.
So I know that through your work with Six Figure Chicks, you have not just and I have one here, one of the books, but I know that this is the Phoenix Volume 2, but I know you have the books. You have also created a community. So can you share a little bit more about how that comes about and why that's important?
Yeah, it goes back to why I created the books because I felt that we deserve to lift each other up, empower each other, not only the readers, because when I start the author journey, it's 90 days of working together. So if we have 20 authors plus myself, my team of VAs that are working diligently behind the scenes, we have an editing team. We all work together for those 90 days. So we build those strong relationships. And then after the book is published, it reached international best-selling status. It's great. And then it's like, now what? I wanted to continue that relationship that we all have with each other in that one book, but then combine all the books together. It's over 120 women we have on Six Figure Chicks community right now. I don't
Great.
want them to have to be like, check the box kind of thing of like, okay, my book is done, it's published.
Right,
Now I move on because I've been a
right.
part of other book collaborations like that. And
Yeah,
after the book is published, everyone goes on with their normal lives. I thought, how else can we add value to these authors and really promote and showcase these amazing women? And not just leave those relationships at the
at the
publishing.
curb.
Yeah.
You know, one of the ways that I've seen you manifest this community and giving back is you have a nonprofit, Right to Rise, and it's right as in writing,
Yeah.
right? And share a little bit more about Right to Rise and the vision behind that.
Yeah, so Her Right to Rise was created because I looked back and last year I said, how else can we leave a lasting legacy and impact in our communities? So every book after the first one was nationwide authors, and then the second through the sixth were city specific or location specific. So we had Phoenix, Houston, Scottsdale. And after the book is published, we continue celebrating with each other and having the in-person events and speaking opportunities for all the authors and local events where they can come together. Then I thought, okay, we can use our superpower, our expertise to give back because who doesn't like giving back? Like,
Right.
it's a feel good opportunity. And I thought, back to when I was younger, living on my own at 15, dropped out of high school. I had no one to talk to. I had no one to ask questions of like, what do I do now? How do I survive? I was just on a pathway to just make it to the next day, pay my
Mhm.
rent, and we're good. And I thought back on that of going, so many young women are still in that place of, I don't know who to talk to or what to do. And we, as successful six-figure chicks, can change that for other women. We can give back. And so that created Her Right to Rise. And then we have mentorship days. We will have our first annual mentorship day with all the authors nationwide next March on the 14th. And that's where we can come together again, the authors, have that great relationship with each other, have the opportunity to share stories, experiences, catch up, but then also give back to those young women here in Phoenix for the day and just pour into them. And I hope that everyone can walk away with a lifelong mentor.
Yes, yes, that would be great to have the multi-generational or intergenerational relationships and really showing these younger women that there's a path to get wherever they want to go. And there's people that would guide them along the way.
Yeah.
So tell us more about being 15 and on your own.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I have not shared with the public
Hmm.
until the Phoenix books came out because writing gave me the courage, the confidence to own my story. So, I thought, wow, okay, I'm going to share this with the world. Like at 15, I felt alone, stupid, like I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a bright future. I just had to get through each day, and I remember specifically sitting in the parking lot at Red Lobster at that young age going, how am I going to pay my rent next month? Like I was so young and in high school still, I couldn't work more than a certain amount of hours.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, the only option I have is to sign myself out of high school. And of course, I couldn't sign myself out of high school. I just forged my dad's name. And it was literally, I went to the principal's office, I asked for the form, I signed it and turned it in the next day and said, my dad's taking me out to school. And they just took it. And they said, okay. And that was it. Nobody asked anything. I went to Red Lobster and I said, okay, I'm out of school. I can work more hours. They didn't say anything. They said, okay. And
Wow.
yeah, so
Okay.
many of those opportunities looking back on it going, whoa, there are so many areas that I could have just asked somebody for help.
When that happened and you look at that now and you look at your high school just saying like, "Oh, okay, thank you. Fare thee well, young maiden." How do you put that in perspective? Do you see that as a divine intervention? Do you see it as the universe allowing what was supposed to be your journey be your journey? Like, how do you look at that now?
It's hard to think about that. Like I've only just recently in the last year and a half, 2 years, really been able to peel away the layers of that
Mhm.
actually happening to my life because I thought for so many years of like, what a hard life I have. And there are so many people out there that have a lot worse.
Right.
But I was young. I thought I was grown up already. But yes, from there to now, I have had to struggle. I have built my businesses from the ground up, thankfully, in part to mentors and business coaches, and I couldn't have done it without them. But it did make me who I am today
Yes.
because, I am so very proud of where I have come from. For that time period in my life, and for me to be able to think about it in such a positive light now is like, we can give back to other women. We can
Yes.
show them that we've been there, done that. We can help you, guide you to that next level of life. Like if you're in your late teens, early mid 20s, your life is not over. Your story is still being written.
Yes, and there's so much opportunity on the
Yeah.
other side of it. So
Yeah.
that How did you go from full-time at Red Lobster, taking care of yourself from a very young age, and using Jedi mind tricks on the staff at the school? Like, I can't tell these are not the robots that you're looking for, to landing in the corporate world. Can you tell us a little more about, like, that journey, and when did that happen? When did you get that first, like, I'll call it a big break? No.
Yeah. Well, I still had a few larger roadblocks that I had to go through. Oklahoma time, 15 years old, working full time, making, gosh, dollars.
Right.
I thought I was grown. I was, couch surfing, apartment surfing. And, I went out late with the Red Lobster crew. Nobody asked for my ID. I drank a few too many cocktails and I fell asleep at the wheel and crashed into a cement wall. And then I spent
Wow.
the next 30 days in a hospital bed learning to talk, walk, think, remember. Like I couldn't remember names of my family members when I first woke up. So
Mhm.
it was a struggle. I had a lot of rehabilitation after that. And that led me, after I was out of the hospital, led me to my mother's home. And she had moved to Maui. So I then started my life in Maui. So as soon as I got through rehab, I got a job, some job working in a retail store,
Right.
making minimum wage again. And I hadn't done anything with my high school education or GED or anything. So I still had that feeling of I'm stupid. Nobody cares about me. And so I thought, this is what it is. Like, I'm just going to be working in a retail shop for the rest of my life. And I continued working my way up to, like, floor supervisor. And then I got a break and I got into the hotel business and I
Okay.
worked my way up from my first position was like a night auditor. And I worked my way up to executive levels, all without having a high school diploma. And I did it because I paid attention. I, had great leaders who trained me and showed me what to do, asked questions, and then one day somebody came into my life that gave me the power and support of like, you can do this, you can get your GED. Like, don't let that hold you back. So I was in my 30s when I got my GED.
Fantastic. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
it was such a scary, scary time because I drove myself to that GED center on one random day, middle of the week, and I was scared to death because I thought if I don't pass this test, everyone will know.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
confirmed Mel's stupid. Yeah. But I went in and I passed and I had that little paper of certification.
That's right. Right.
Yeah.
Which seems like it's so little, and yet it's significant.
Yeah. It was at that time I thought, wow, I've done it. You know, I I don't have to lie on my applications anymore. I can proudly say I have a certification. But then
Right.
it was, okay, gosh, I'm 30 years old with a GED. What are people going to think about me? So it took a little bit more time to own that and be okay with, yeah, I have a GED and that's okay. It doesn't mean I'm not smart enough. I just took a different path.
That's right. You took a different path. And it
Yeah.
sounds to me as if you were hungry to learn. So, not finishing high school, I don't think that it was not wanting to learn, absorb, or perform well or continue to improve in anything you were doing in life. So, I think you were continually learning
Yeah.
even up until you got your GED. Is that a
Yeah,
fair
I
assessment?
always said when I was younger and in the workforce, I was like a sponge. I
Right.
always wanted to learn more from others. And still to this day, you want to surround yourself with people who are way smarter and make way more money than you. Like, I want to learn as much as I can from people who've been there, done that.
Yeah, I think that this is a huge inspiration. I do, if anyone out there is listening to our conversation and they're feeling as if they're missing something or they missed a step or it's too late, you are living proof it's not too late. If
Yeah.
you're 30 and you don't have your high school diploma or GED, Mel, you are living proof that guess what? You can do it. You can get over yourself, your fear, you can face it and you can do it. Or even
Yeah.
if you're older. Yeah.
And, everyone kind of has those stories where
Mhm.
they think that they don't matter or their story isn't good enough to share. And it's all kind of, how do you say, like one of those futon seasons for everyone
Right.
has one of those that we just like keep deep inside thinking that people are going to look at me differently. And I've been there. I totally know how that feels, but it's also so freeing to let
Uh-huh.
it go and just to be able to have that experience of just writing it out, even for yourself. But then taking those baby steps of going, okay, I've written my story out, I've written my journey. Now it's okay. I can share a little bit with other people and
Right.
let them into really what makes you so amazing and who you are today.
So what happened with your career in the hospitality industry after 30? So what continue from there?
Yeah, it went on for many years to come, and I love living in Maui. I was there for 16 years. I had built a life, and then I met partner and we went off overseas and I got to experience life on a whole nother level. I lived in Australia for a number of years. I got to experience different cultures and I HR
Mhm.
and got certifications out the wazoo there
Right.
and worked with finance company. And actually, I look back on it thinking, wow, this is pretty interesting. I worked for Penguin Publishing Company
Okay.
in Australia. I mean, I was in HR, so I didn't really see the publishing side. It was it's still interesting. It's like,
That
where
is.
today?
Right.
And I traveled and worked in other countries. And until about 7 years ago, my contracts were finished up and I was ready to come back to the US. And that brought me to Arizona. And
Mhm.
I was like, okay, let's make this my new home. And when I got here, I had had enough savings to get started, build a life. And when it was time to start applying for jobs again, I was like, nothing felt right.
Right.
Why am I doing this? What can I be doing differently? And I started making friends with small business owners, and they're like, why don't you just use your expertise as a consultant? And I said, well, okay, I can do that. I can do anything.
Yes. Yes.
And they're like, well, why don't you be an HR consultant or something? And I'm like, I know HR. I've studied for it. I don't love it. And so it took me into a whole new realm of social media management. And so I started helping those small businesses with their social media and marketing. And then COVID happened and it
Right.
helped propel my business because
Yes.
everyone had to go virtual. Yeah. And then I brought on a couple of women to help me. And then I'm like, okay, gosh, well, I knew how to manage and operate other businesses, but running your own business is a whole different story.
Right. Right.
So I brought on
That
my
is true.
first business coach in the first year, and that helped propel me with the tools necessary of like, okay, how do I do all of this? Like setting goals, that was huge.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It
My
is
first
huge.
yeah, my first business coach, she asked me the first day, she was like, "How much money do you wanna make?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just wanna live a good life, keep the lights on." She's like, "Well, we need a figure, so let's start with that." And so I started with the $100,000, and that's where a six-figure
Six
check.
figure came in. There you go. It is true. I'm so glad that your coach went over that with you so early in your relationship. Tell my clients when you don't have specificity in your target, that would be like opening your GPS, whichever one you use. I like Waze, and not putting a specific address. Like if I want to go visit my friend and, 3 towns over, I wouldn't just put the name of the town. I'm headed to Springfield, that you may not even come close to your friend's house. So when you add in that specificity, you're getting somewhere.
Yeah. And, so she helped mold my future and gave me the right tools to keep. And I still look back on those things. And I've had multiple business coaches since
Mhm.
then that have helped me in different aspects and levels of my business. As my business has grown, I'm looking at different areas of my business. And so I need different people for those changes and those growth chapters in my business life.
Right. It is, and it's so, great feeling like you're not in it alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that just it goes back full circle, like that ripple effect of it just takes one person to make an impact in your life, and that's what we're doing with the Cloversy. We're giving time back to our clients. I'm giving work opportunity to our team, our
Mhm.
women, and then that then leads into the six-figure chicks because we are supporting each other. Like I want nothing better than to support, empower, inspire, motivate the authors so that they can do the same thing to everyone reading these books
Right.
and in the young women with her right to rise.
So if someone is listening to us and they're thinking, well, that's awesome for Mel, that worked for her, and they are or they're stuck. And of any age, young, older, they might be in a career that they wish they could leave, or they may not be living where they want to live, or they may have some big to-do goal that they haven't achieved. Where do you start? Like, what is something, regardless of the starting point, that you would recommend someone would do to just start moving in the right direction?
That's a great question. And I say just ask somebody. So it's so simple and so liberating because a lot of us get stuck in our rut and think so if I had seen you on if I'd watched one of your podcasts going, "Oh my gosh, Bridget, she is so successful. She probably would never talk to me." Right? Like that's
Right,
usually our own roadblocks. But
right.
instead, if I said, you know what? I'm just going to send Bridget a message and say, I really love your show. I have a question about, how to get a podcast started or a realty question or something like that. And like, what's the worst that can happen? You won't respond to me or you'll say no.
Yeah,
But you probably will say, yes, I'd love to, have a one to one with you or a quick
yeah,
chat because we all love giving back.
right.
We appreciate the thoughtfulness too of like,
Yes,
wow, okay, she thinks I'm an expert. I would love to chat with her.
right.
And that's all it takes is just asking, no matter who it is.
Yeah, shoot your shot. See what happens. We usually think about that more in the romantic realm, but you do it with any area where you want to create change in your life.
Yeah,
Reach
because
out.
you matter. Your story, your success matters and it will impact somebody else's life in some way. And for you to not think that I'm not good enough, they don't care about me, I'm not important enough to be validated or talk to somebody like that. Like poo poo all that.
Right. Well, with you, someone listening to our conversation and looking at the success you've created in multiple areas, from the outside, it can look as if every day is perfect and everything goes your way now and uh, life's a dream. Is that true? And if it's not true, how do you manage yourself and lead yourself when you face difficulty or disappointment or fill in the blank with whatever, negative emotion or issue
Yeah.
that might show up?
And I think so. Like I am very open with this of like I have that same book actually
Uh-huh.
on my desk. I have all the books behind me. When I do, for example, about 2 months ago, I had just probably reached my capacity of workload, life mode of like just everything. So I opened up that book and I started reading through those roadblocks that the authors inside that book have gone through. Imposter syndrome, perfectionism, judgment. Like the
Right.
list goes on and on of those inner demons that we deal with. But I read their stories, their own personal experiences of how they overcame those things, and I'm like, "Oh gosh, okay." They've gone through so many other things, they've gone through something that I've gone through, and they've made it past that, and they're A-okay now. But we all have those little things that happen that set us back. But it's just
Right.
important for us to stop, be present, and thankful for what we have and, figure out how to get past it and not let it define us. And, cry a little, put on your big girl pants, and move on.
Light a candle and put on some vinyl. So I do music therapy. Yes. But I want to ask you another question. So people will be thinking, wow, this lady, she's lived in Maui, she lived in Australia, she's traveled around the world, she owns her own companies. What is next for you? Like, what do you have a bucket list item you could share?
Mm.
Do you have another big passion or dream with either your nonprofit or your books? What else is big? What's coming for you?
Yeah. Well, I want to take over the world. Um,
Okay,
what
very
Six
good.
Figure Chicks do. My goal with Six Figure Chicks from early on was to launch at least one book in every state.
Okay.
I want to be able to promote, showcase, shine light on successful women around the US. But now that we're in an international movement, global movement, I want to reach other countries. I want to bring Six Figure Chicks books into hands of other people in other countries in their language. I want to be able to bring the mentorship day to other countries to empower women, young women all over the world. Bucket list, I want to go to Croatia. So that's my
Nice. Okay.
expectation. Yeah. And just to be able to make an even bigger impact in people's lives, both authorship and readers. And we're doing it together as this global movement, Six Figure Chicks, is expanding and growing. That's my dream.
I had a thought the other day when I was preparing and looking at some of the information about Six Figure Chicks for our meeting today. And I thought, it could be fun. What if you had six figure membership in Six Figure Chicks? I thought that
Yeah.
could be fun.
Yes. I mean, and I'm always thinking about like, okay, well, what else can we do? What else can we
Yeah.
add to all of this great things? And we are starting that next month, because the more authors we bring in, the more great minds like you of going, okay, well, what else can we do? Like, I want to be a part of this, but I also want to do even more big things. So we have authors coming in, offering their knowledge and expertise in author exclusive events. Like we're having a content photo shoot training day
Right.
next month for the authors that are in Arizona. And
Mhm.
then I'm super excited to be able to offer training for speakers. So you have your book. Now you want to be able to use that book to leverage your
Yes.
authority on stages. And some of the authors are keynote speakers already, and then some of them aren't. So we want to be able to help refine and or give them the opportunity to use their story to be able to grow their personal brand or business on stage. So we're going to be starting that story to stage 8-week training next month as well for exclusive authors of Six Figure Chicks.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, so I'm always thinking about those things. So if
Good.
you have those good ideas, share them.
Then reach out. And by the way, in all of the descriptions in our podcast, wherever you're listening, all of Mel's contact information will be there as well, and information about Six Figure Chicks. I want to go back to you're getting close to 30 and you're like, why don't I go ahead and finish the GED? Anything like that left? Is there anything that you haven't accomplished yet, more in the realm of feeling as if it's a loose end or an unfinished project? Is there anything like that that you're like, you know what, I'm going to tackle that next?
Well, it's you know, always a learning curve as the businesses have grown. Cloversy has grown with, a load of clients, a load of team members, and then Six Figure Chicks is growing in a way that I want to be able to focus more on that and,
Hmm.
you know, devote more of my time and attention to the specific or the special authors. So what that means, I need to step back from Cloversy's day to day. And I've brought on an operations manager to do that. But that's
Hmm.
scary because then it's like, okay,
Yes.
now I have to look at different budgeting with that company
Yeah.
of like, I'm not doing it.
And you have to let go.
Yeah.
You have to actually delegate and allow people to fail forward or succeed
Yeah.
wildly. Yeah, that can be very scary. So
Yeah.
that's a new territory for you.
I gotta drink my own juice. Like If I'm telling my clients to be delegating so that their businesses can grow, I have to do the same thing. I have no problem letting go. However, I have to be strategic and understand exactly what's happening and who's taking over and who's doing what, and also to let the team members know, this new change, and our clients know about, okay, well, there's going to be somebody else new in the meetings, not me,
Right.
but I'm not going anywhere. I'm still
That's
here.
right. That whole transition and redirecting the flow to empower the new director and still keep the culture you've built. That's yeah, that's a challenge, and I know you're gonna make it through.
Yeah. And it's so exciting though, because, I'm like, okay, well, the businesses have grown so that I can go to that next level. And I'm so excited to be able to offer more time to the business that I'm so passionate about. I love Cloversy, but I have my heart in Six Figure Chicks because that was my creation.
Right,
And I get to laugh, cry, do all of these experiences and emotions with every single author in every single chapter. Like, I'm the first one that reads these stories
mm,
before anyone
anyone
else.
else? Yeah,
And a lot of these stories, these authors haven't shared with anyone outside of their
mhm,
inner circle. And now they're sharing it with the world. So that takes a lot of courage and really understanding the true meaning of the storytelling.
right,
Your story is going to impact many people's lives. You just don't even know it yet.
right. Well, thank you for creating this platform and vehicle for more stories to get out, to lift up the authors and change their lives as well as the people that receive the message and read the books. It is truly, I know it's such a cliche, but it's truly like a rising tide that lifts all the boats. So I'm so thrilled and inspired by your organizations, and I look forward to doing more with you. I want to share with everyone as well that Mel also has a podcast with Six Figure Chicks, and I'll have information about that too. Mel, I want to thank you again for being with us. You're an inspiration that no matter where you are today or where you're starting from or even how you feel about yourself, you can change your life and you can make big things happen. You can touch others, and everyone has a story that's valuable. So thank you for being our guest. I hope that you'll come back again. Maybe you could come back next year after another, more books are out, more has happened with Her Right to Rise, and I would love to have you back. But
Yeah,
thank you for being here.
thank you. I can't wait until next year to be able to, share all the great things that are happening. I hope so. And thank you so much for having me on the show.
And anyone listening to the show, if you're here listening to The Inner Estate, I hope you'll come back too and listen to the next episode. Thank you so much and have a great day.